The rain started before sunrise. By noon, it was pouring so hard that the old oak trees outside Grandma Rose's farmhouse looked like blurry shadows through the windows. Water drummed against the roof, rolled down the glass, and filled the gutters until they overflowed. Inside, however, the farmhouse felt warm and cozy. The smell of cinnamon rolls drifted from the kitchen. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace. Yet despite all that, 14-year-old Marcus Carter was miserable. "This is so boring," he groaned, dropping onto the couch. His 10-year-old sister Ava looked up from the puzzle she was working on. "You've said that 7 times. "I counted 8, said their dad. Marcus rolled his eyes. "We were supposed to go hiking today." "And instead," Mum said, "we get a family day at Grandma's house." "Exactly." Grandma Rose laughed from her rocking chair. "When I was your age, we made our own fun." Marcus smiled. "That's because you didn't have internet." "True," Grandma admitted, "but we had adventures." Ava's eyes lit up. "What kind of adventures?" Grandma leaned forward. "Well, one summer, my cousins and I spent 3 weeks looking for buried treasure." Marcus chuckled. "Did you find any?" "No." "See? But we found something even better." "What?" Grandma smiled mysteriously. "If I tell you, it ruins the story." Ava immediately jumped to her feet. "Tell us." "Maybe later." "Oh, come on." Grandma stood up. "First, I need help cleaning the attic." Marcus groaned so loudly that everyone laughed. 10 minutes later, the family climbed the narrow staircase to the attic. The room stretched across the entire top of the farmhouse. Dusty beams crossed the ceiling. Old trunks sat in corners. Stacks of boxes reached almost to the rafters. Sunlight filtered through a small circular window, turning floating dust into sparkling specks. "It looks like a treasure cave," Ava whispered. "It looks like a dust cave," Marcus replied. Grandma handed everyone a flashlight. "Let's see what memories are hiding up here." For the next hour, they sorted through decades of forgotten belongings. Mom found a box of old school trophies. Dad discovered comic books from the 1980s. Marcus uncovered a baseball glove that had belonged to Grandpa. Ava found a wooden toy train. Then she heard a sound. Tick. She froze. Tick, tick. Ava looked around. "Did anyone hear that?" "Hear what?" Dad asked. "Something ticking." Everyone stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then, tick, tick, tick. The sound echoed faintly through the attic. Ava followed it across the room until she stood in front of a huge grandfather clock. The clock towered over her. Its dark wooden frame was covered in carvings of flowers and birds. "Grandma," Ava said, "I thought this clock didn't work." Grandma looked over. "It hasn't worked in years." Tick, tick, tick. The sound came from inside. Now everyone was curious. Marcus stepped closer. "That's weird." He examined the carvings carefully. As his fingers brushed across one wooden flower, he felt something move. "Wait." "What?" Ava asked. "This flower wiggles." He pressed it. Nothing happened. Then he noticed something hidden in the center. A tiny keyhole. "Guys!" Everyone gathered around. Grandma's eyes widened. "I haven't seen that since I was a little girl." "You knew it was there?" Dad asked. "My father showed it to me once." "What does it do?" "I don't know." Marcus stared. "You never opened it?" Grandma shook her head. "He told me to wait until the right time." "Well," Ava said excitedly, "this seems like the right time." Grandma laughed. "I suppose it does." She disappeared downstairs and returned carrying a small brass key attached to a faded blue ribbon. "My father told me never to lose this." The family crowded around the clock. Marcus carefully inserted the key. Everyone held their breath. Slowly, he turned it. Click. A hidden panel popped open. Inside lay a rolled-up piece of yellowed paper. Ava gasped. "A map!" Marcus carefully unrolled it. His eyes widened. It actually is a map. The paper showed the farmhouse property, the creek, the fields, the orchard, and near the edge of the land was a giant red X. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Ava shouted, "Treasure!" The rain finally stopped that evening. The clouds drifted apart, revealing a brilliant orange sunset. Armed with flashlights and shovels, the Carter family followed the map. The trail led through wet grass and muddy fields. The red X pointed toward an enormous oak tree beside the creek. The tree was ancient. Its roots twisted across the ground like giant wooden snakes. "This has to be it," Dad said. Marcus examined the map. "Looks exactly right." Ava grabbed a shovel. "Let's dig." For nearly an hour they searched. Mud flew everywhere. Roots got in the way. Mosquitoes buzzed around them. Marcus was beginning to think the whole thing was a mistake. Then, clang. Everyone froze. Dad's shovel had struck metal. Ava screamed with excitement. "We found it!" The family dug faster. Soon, they uncovered a rusty iron chest. It wasn't huge, but it was definitely old. Together, they lifted it from the ground. The hinges groaned when they carried it. "Let's take it home," Grandma said. Back at the farmhouse, they placed the chest on the dining room table. Everyone gathered around. Ava practically vibrated with excitement. "Open it!" Grandma slowly lifted the lid. Inside were dozens of carefully preserved items. Bundles of letters, leather journals, photographs, a silver pocket watch, military medals, newspaper clippings, and a sealed envelope. At first, Ava looked disappointed. "No gold." "No gold," Marcus agreed. Grandma picked up one of the journals. On the cover was written, "Samuel Carter." "My grandfather," she whispered. The room fell silent. She opened the journal and began reading. The pages contained stories from over 100 years ago. Stories about life on the farm. Stories about neighbors helping each other survive difficult winters. Stories about courage, friendship, and family. One journal described a flood that nearly destroyed the town. Another told how Samuel organized volunteers to rebuild homes after a storm. There were adventures, funny mistakes, important lessons. The photographs showed faces no one recognized but somehow felt connected to. Hours passed. Nobody wanted to stop reading. Finally, Grandma opened the sealed envelope. Inside was a single letter. Written neatly across the top were the words, "To my family in the future." Grandma took a deep breath and read aloud. "If this letter has been found, then many years have passed since I wrote it. You may not know my face, you may not know my voice, but you are part of my story, just as I am part of yours. I buried these memories because treasures are often mistaken for gold. Gold can be lost, money can disappear, but stories survive. The people who come after us deserve to know where they came from. If you are reading this together, then my greatest wish has come true. Take care of one another, tell these stories, and never forget that family is the greatest treasure of all." When Grandma finished, tears filled her eyes. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the crackling fire. Then Ava smiled. "I think we found the treasure." Grandma nodded. "Yes." Marcus looked around the table, the photographs, the journals, the stories, the family sitting together. For the first time all day, he wasn't bored at all. In fact, he felt lucky. Lucky to know where he came from. Lucky to be part of something bigger than himself. That night, the Carter family stayed awake long after midnight. They read stories, shared memories, laughed at old photographs, and made a promise that every year they would gather together and read another story from Samuel Carter's journals. Outside, the stars shone brightly over the old farmhouse. Inside, a family had discovered a treasure far more valuable than gold. A treasure of memories. A treasure of history. A treasure that would belong to every generation that came after them. And it all began with a rainy day, an old clock, and a secret map hidden in the attic.